Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug YouTube channel in collaboration with what we hope will be a Let's Talk Business podcast as well. If you listen to this via audio, Anton Green, the Hitman, has come in place of him. Anton Green, Mr. Clean, is not here. He is currently on holiday, bless his heart. So we're giving him a break for once. He might make a cameo appearance if he's very, very lucky. You never know. He's so small, he can fit into any number of crevasses, but we still have the ever-present Hitman himself, Gabe Myers. Welcome back to the Wrestle Plug, sir.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Look to be bashing today. Oh, not so much bashing, but smashing indeed.
Yes, indeed. He will smash it. He always does. And joining us, of course, you might have recognized him from a couple of interviews, but his first time just being a co-host. This is, of course, the reigning and defending BCD champion, the history maker, the main event, Roger Sears.
Good evening, all. Thank you very much. Jesus.
He's over like Rover, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Sears, welcome back to the rest.
Thank you very much.
Marvellous. He's got his politician hat on, as I can tell.
Oh, boy.
Ain't nothing political about that haircut, I'll tell you that much. Enter the Road Warriors. We love to see it. Right. So let's start with something that Gabe will no doubt have a very interesting take on. Vince Russo reveals his worst booking idea and explains why it didn't work. Gabe Myers, have you watched Vince Russo's recent podcast with Chris Van Vliet, or whatever his name is?
I would lie and say yes, but I haven't.
Well, I actually have. My YouTube must have heard you rambling. So, just for context, Roger, Gabe loves Vince Russo, thinks he's a god.
Cornet.
Cornet is G, to be fair. Vince Russo, yeah, hit and miss. Russo was recently interviewed on the Insight podcast and said he would rather try something new than repeat a match fans had seen an endless amount of times before, even if the concept fell flat. But the new concept of 1999's Kennel from Hell match, which was supposed to feature vicious dogs surrounding the ring, did not execute that vision. The match was the result of a storyline build between the Big Boss Man and Al Snow that saw the Boss Man feeding his opponent his own dog at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the concept because the Boss Man, our story revolved around the little dog Pepper. So I thought of the concept, but in my head, they are attack dogs. They're police dogs. The teeth are out and saliva is coming out and they're circling the ring. That's the picture I had in my head, said Vince Russo. So now, bro, I'm at the building. So I should really say this like Vince Russo.
I was going to say, yeah.
All right. Hold on. I'll give a Vince Russo impression a go. So now, bro, I'm at the building and they bring the dogs in and someone says to me, bro, Vince, here are the dogs for the match. I'll walk over to look at the dogs, bro. The first dog licked my hand, and I'm like, bro, I never thought of what it would be like if they're not attack dogs. What if they are pets? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly what happened, bro. These were the lamest, laziest dogs, bro. So basically, Vince Russo reckons the Kennel from Hell is by far and away his... You're welcome, by the way, for the impression.
Very good. It was good, though.
That's literally all you got to do is just ramp up the New York accent. It's done, isn't it? Like, I'm going to add that to my list of impressions. Yeah, he said that he 1,000% blamed himself for the match's failure. Have either of you gentlemen seen the vaunted Kennel from Hell from 1999?
Oh, yes. I have.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Roger Sears' reaction speaks absolute volume. So, Gabe, would you agree with Vince Russo that is arguably the worst idea he's had in terms of gimmicks and matches?
You know what? Surprisingly, I would say no. That was about it. The idea sounds okay, but the execution of it was terrible.
You know what? One of the biggest problems with that match is the execution was terrible, as we knew.
Yeah.
It does now that legitimately, like one of the dogs shat on the floor, didn't they?
Yeah.
And a couple of dogs were fucking, if I remember rightly, as well. Like,
yeah, they were.
I've seen some indie promotions who have similar stuff, if I'm being honest. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. One thing that stood out to me, actually, was the fact that at the time, even then, this was very much a mid-card feud, if at best, undercard. And that was the biggest problem, is that you put a steel cage inside Hell in a Cell, and then gave it to two relatively low card guys in Al Snow and Big Boss Man. So it's like, for me, not only does the match stink, as it was probably going to, because you're not going to be able to have legitimate attack dogs, but also there is the factor of this at the time is 1999, where Hell in a Cell is still very important. A steel cage match still means something, and you're chucking these two guys in there who, with all due respect, shouldn't be in there. Also, I'm pretty sure in the same year, Big Boss Man was hung from Hell in a Cell, right?
From Taker. Yeah, he was. WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania against The Undertaker, which admittedly is a far more appetizing prospect than Al Snow inside Killer from Hell. Roger Sears, an abject failure. Is it Vince Russo's worst?
No, probably not his worst. I mean, Jesus, he had some terrible ideas in WCW, didn't he? But
not according to some people in this room, he didn't.
Okay. But I mean, to add to the point you've made about the Kennel from Hell, I think part of the reason why that failed so badly is purely from a visual aspect for the fans and filming it. You're talking first the steel cage, then you got the mesh cage around it. You can't see an awful lot of what's going on with all of that in the way. So
it's almost like Vince Russo wasn't thinking about the fans when he came up with it.
No.
You know.
Which is kind of, his MO, really, isn't
No,
it?
he doesn't. He doesn't.
Here we go. Here we go.
Look,
right.
Look. You asked about a worse idea.
Yeah, that's literally where I was going. I wanted to ask you, what is, in your opinion, bearing in mind you like Vince Russo, what do you think is where he shit the bed the most?
I think the worst idea he ever had is when he had Chaz basically wanted to bang his own mum.
Well, I hope you're happy.
No, I'm not, Mother. I just got fingered.
Oh.
Remember that? That was probably the worst idea he ever had. Basically, it was like, well, if I remember, was it Trash and Mosh? And obviously, Chaz did his own thing.
What are you doing, stepson?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it was implied that was his mum. It was implied that was his mum. But I think I heard him do a podcast saying that it wasn't actually his mum, it was his girlfriend. But it was like the thing of where he wants to kind of fool his opponent, say, well, that's my mum, I want to shag my mum. And then basically the opponent kind of says, and then gets confused. And I thought,
I swear down, I thought that was Vince's idea. I thought that had Vince written all like Vince McMahon written all.
Nah, man, that was Russo. That's
right. Fuck your own mother, pal. Like, that's what he would do. You could see him in the meeting, can't you? He's like, he calls in everybody. He's like, I've got a great idea. I was watching some pornography last night. And, and he's like, I don't know if the whole like sort of role play thing was going on at that point.
Yeah.
It's very hot now, especially with washing machines. But
yeah.
I can see Vince McMahon had Linda McMahon cornered in a washing machine, and then the next day decided to play out this fantasy on TV. I can't believe Russo is the one who came up with it. But
Heal this woman's breath! Heal this woman's voluptuous breath!
Isn't that the one that also led to him beating her up? Allegedly?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
The domestic, that was really fucking taste. Like,
because I think, again, when I heard his podcast, I remember him talking about it was actually supposed to be a movie. He was supposed to make a movie off it, but he couldn't get it. He couldn't get it released. Was it around WrestleMania 15 time? This man wouldn't let him
make a movie based on this storyline.
Yeah, basically on Chaz.
They've made many, and they normally involve washing machines and kitchens, bro. Right?
Yeah,
they're about 15 minutes long, and if you go on certain websites, you'll be able to find them. By the way, I'm still plugging for the Wrestle Plug Pornhub commercial. I want a sponsorship. That's what I want. I'd love to be sponsored by Pornhub, wouldn't you? That'd be fucking great. Can you imagine Roger Sears, the BCD champion, sponsored by YouPorn?
I was gonna say, what's their audience? What's their viewership numbers?
I probably imagine a larger amount than any wrestling company will ever even dream of getting.
Yeah, that's true.
Billions to be precise. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, I'll tell you what, you're sponsored by a fucking porn company, you're making bank. Don't you worry about that. Right?
True.
And at the end of the day, we're all out here hustling, and I'm sure Roger Sears' wife would absolutely approve of him being sponsored by a pornographic site.
He would come back and that door would be bolted shut, mate.
He would need it because the house next door would be 4 times the size, and he'd own it. He'd be like, I don't give a shit, mate. I now own a mansion in the Maldives. I don't give a shit, love. You're coming to my door now.
Well, Rogers, if you can beat that one, then please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Roger Sears, what do you think is his worst ever booking angle?
Oh my God. I
mean,
don't know if there's been a
70s
worse one
guy,
than that. I mean,
Mike Awesome.
he did some. Oh yeah, he did some crazy crap. I think WCW was some of the worst stuff because it wasn't filtered, was it? You know, he didn't have somebody there to lead it a little more. But probably close to for being the most tasteless. I think Oklahoma.
Oh God, yeah,
I think
hate
that
it.
it was in such poor taste doing that. Yeah. So for me, there's a multitude
funny.
of
Look, he's trying not to laugh.
But, yeah.
I'm actually not.
Come on, how can you do the Bell's palsy thing? Like, come on, that was
like fun. I said before, and I think Roger, I'm not sure if you heard last time. Again,
Roger doesn't listen to the Wrestle Plug, if I'm being honest.
I don't justify what Russo did with the Oklahoma stuff and Efro. I don't justify it. What I'm saying, Brett said in his book, what's it called? Even Bruce Pritchard has admitted that Vince McMahon, Joe Briscoe, and Bruce Pritchard used to make fun of Jim Ross. And basically, he took the idea basically from them. Again, I'm not saying that, Russo's perfect. But I'm saying McMahon and these guys were doing it for so long. So it's like, I don't like the fact that Russo just gets a blame for it. It's like, he's the bad guy. Like, no, these guys have been doing it for years. No one hasn't said nothing about it. So I think if you're going to blame Russo, blame Bruce Pritchard, blame Vince McMahon, and then blame Joe Briscoe. Sorry.
Yeah. No, fair point.
So basically, what you're saying is Vince Russo is not to blame because it's somebody else was doing it back then. So what you're essentially saying is, like, Vince Russo is basically cleansed of that simply because somebody else did it. That's such a weird way of looking at things, isn't it?
I'm saying,
you know what? Everyone else was beating the shit out of the fat kid at school, so I thought I'd just lay my fucking boots in afterwards. Because at that point, it's fine, isn't it? Isn't it, Gabe? It's absolutely fine.
Share the blame. I would say share the blame.
Yeah, right. Just so his reputation doesn't get more damaged. Jesus, Lord Almighty. Thing is, right, I like a lot of what Vince Russo has done. I find him as a character. Like, I watched that. I must admit, I watched that podcast. I found him very entertaining. He's a very likable person. He's clearly a nice guy, and I really like his passion for not giving a shit about wrestling. Now he literally said on the podcast, "Bro, I'm 60. I'm not watching mainstream fucking wrestling. I'm just not." So Mr. Clean is in the lobby right now waiting to join. Do we let him in or do we deny
let him in. Let him in. Go on, let him in.
Great. Now I've got to fucking edit this shit even more.
2 hours later.
So Vince Russo, so we're saying, right, so you think Oklahoma's probably his worst?
Yeah.
Gabe, is that correct? Gabe's died.
No.
Gabe, come back.
No, for me, the worst is the Chaz one. I think.
Yeah, the worst is the Chaz.
Yeah, because to me, this mum storyline, no way. I don't think nothing can beat that, man. And also beat it down as well, so.
All right, Roger Sears, what are you saying, Oklahoma?
I think so. Although, that other one was horrible, but I think probably for me the Oklahoma one.
Yeah, okay.
It lasted longer, so
I mean, Vince Russo's booking is so bad it's damaging Roger's internet.
I was gonna say, he heard you. He's like, "Damn you!" He heard you, mate.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna hack Roger Sears' internet, bro." Good stuff. All right. Well, I mean, for me, it's very hard to pick one. I really felt he dropped the ball massively with Mike Awesome. That was a huge, huge ball drop in WCW. Like, this guy had all the tools, was an absolute monster in ECW, which admittedly is a smaller sample size than the other two. But at the same time, that 70s guy going after grannies, like, come on.
Okay. Yeah, that was good.
You know what? If we did so, look at like a similar power guy, like Damian Priest, for instance, right now on Raw. If he comes out and does the same thing, it's getting shit canned all over the internet.
Yeah, you know what? Surprisingly, I'll say maybe not because
Really, you think Damian Priest could play that 70s guy?
No, the reason why I'm saying maybe not is because fans these days they like what they like the 70s ish, they like the 80s ish, they like all those things come back anyway. It's like a cycle. It comes back again, isn't it? So maybe ish.
I don't think the general WWE audience has a clue what happened in the 70s.
Fair enough. I know AEW fans don't, for sure.
AEW just, well, no, obviously, because they're all still virgins that live in their mum's basement, but that's neither here nor there. Speaking of AEW, let's shift gears to the fact that Orange Cassidy has reportedly taken on a backstage role for AEW. For those who aren't fully aware, the 39-year-old AEW star has reportedly begun working as a producer with the recent Big Bill Brian Cage versus Matt Sydal and Trent tag bout on AEW Rampage as one example of a match he has agented. Gabe, what do we think about 39-year-old Orange Cassidy now being a road agent and producer backstage for AEW?
See, I'm not a big fan of Orange Cassidy. I'm not a fan of his character. I'm not a fan of his work. People say he can work. He's okay, but all that, the kick in and nah. For me, to me, I don't like it. And the thing is, the fact that he's now a producer, he's now going to be teaching the next generation. He's basically crappy psychology on wrestling. Nah, for me, no.
Roger Sears looks apoplectically angry. You look really miserable, mate. Is everything all right? Like, are you that offended by the concept of Orange Cassidy being a road agent? Like, for instance,
no. I find with Orange Cassidy's gimmick, it's either good for the business or insanely damaging to it. Because I think you'll have casual fans who'll either look at it, think it's funny, and want to see more of it, or they're going to look at it and go, "Well, that's why wrestling's a pile of shit."
Yeah.
I think for hardcore fans who are proper wrestling fans, probably fucking hate it. They think it's utter crap. Me, I'm kind of like, I can appreciate the guy's athleticism and the things that he can do. And it is rather impressive doing some of that shit with his hands in his pockets. It really fucking is.
Yeah.
But I'm not a massive fan of it myself, personally. And the idea of him being a road agent, I mean, you can't really be fully active on the roster if you're also then helping other people to agent their matches, really. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I personally think it's a joke. I think it's ludicrous that somebody, like, it's not only that, it's that thing of, so what you're saying to me is you currently have Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, Mark Henry, Big Show, a number of others who are all very capable, even JR and, and even Tony
Taz, my gosh.
Literally the list of legends and veterans and people who have done stuff in this sport that have, by the way, done a lot more than Orange Cassidy has goes on. And yet we're going to slap him in the same room with them and say that he has the same credible opinions?
Nope.
No, absolutely not. It for me, I liken it to, anyone watch The Apprentice with Alan Sugar?
Yeah.
Or, God forbid, the American version with Donald Trump. It's more funny, to be fair. It's really worth watching just for the amusement factor. Imagine if Alan Sugar sat there. You've got, I don't know, Karen Brady to your right, is somebody who has done so much and made so much money. And then on the left, you've got whatever his name is. I think it was Nick, was the original guy, that, incredibly affluent, accountant and banker and all that. And then at the end of the table is Bob, who runs the local butchers. What? All right. We've heard from these two multi-millionaires. Now we're going to hear from Bob, who earns £9.25 an hour, as to what he thinks you should be doing to become a billionaire and work in the Shard. Like, I literally, as a wrestler who takes myself very seriously and somebody who takes this business very seriously, if you put me in a room and I'm being told by Arn Anderson and Dean Malenko, I'm being just this infinite level of wisdom and access to knowledge, and then this fucking dweeb on the end who has the charisma of a walnut, who had a match where he legitimately tried to dunk a WWE legend in Chris Jericho into a vat of mimosa, I'm going to be like, I'm sorry, why are you even in here? Because I already feel like I'm a far more credible individual in this sport than you are. Sorry, I'm not taking advice from you, particularly when I have some of the greatest wrestlers to ever live at my disposal to speak to. And then maybe that's why Brandon Cutler is a big steaming pile of
shit.
Because he thinks that, you know what? I don't care what JR says. It's like, funny that, because I don't care what you say, Mr. Roll for Initiative. Get back in your mum's basement, go and play your Virgin board games, and leave the wrestling to the adults. Yeah, pathetic is what you are, mate. You're just as bad as Naka fuck off Zara or whatever his name. say to that fucking gimp as well, you're an embarrassment. And
Yeah.
people are going to be like, this is why you're British Cornet, Aeron. I'd rather be associated with Jim Cornette
Oh, yeah.
or Nakazawa, mate.
Yeah.
If someone says to me, you're just as bad as Jim Cornette, what, the guy who's literally fucking helped completely, re-envision what it means to be a manager, what it means to be a wrestling personality, one of the greatest all-time promos in the sport. Or you could be the guy who lathers himself with baby oil and, wrestles elephants in DDT. No, I'm all right, thanks. Go fuck yourself. Orange Cassidy has no business being a road agent, and I think that screams volumes about the fact that he's, everyone goes online and defends Orange Cassidy and says, oh, he's definitely not one of Tony Khan's boys. That's just bluster. Well, this certainly would suggest that he is one of Tony Khan's boys.
I'm going to say, I agree with everything you said. I think it is. Maybe it's Tony Khan. Orange Cassidy's a legend to him. Maybe to him it's like he's a legend. He's an AEW guy from day one. Maybe to him it's like, this is how I want wrestling to be. So he looks at him as like the staple point. So, okay, guys, this is what I want it to be.
Yeah.
That's him.
That's why he's bleeding money and resources and ratings.
But the thing is, it's one of those mad things. I actually don't think he even cares.
No, he doesn't, because he's got infinite wealth. So he doesn't.
If you know the wealth of his father, believe me, I don't think he cares at all. Again, he's bleeding money. Again, if anyone knows football, he's bleeding money at Fulham Football Club. Bleeding. And this as well, I don't think he cares still.
But at least at Fulham, they actually do what they say they do, which is play football.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
AEW, they don't actually wrestle. They just run around grabbing each other's assholes. Which is probably why Brian Pillman Jr. left, which is good news because Brian Pillman has apparently officially signed with WWE and NXT and will report to the Performance Center next month. What do we think about Brian Pillman Jr. arriving in WWE to continue his father's legacy?
For me, I think his work's pretty decent. Again, obviously, yes, he has to, he has a way to go and everything. But again, looks like his dad, father, son, and everything. He's in the best place for him to learn. I mean, people are going to knock me, but I'll say it. To learn a safer style that he can work for 10, 20 years and at least leave the business relatively healthy. And, I don't mean to be rude, but alive longer than his father was, even though his father had a heart condition. But again, his father took drugs. He had a heart condition and everything.
Yeah, a lot of demons, but.
Yeah. If he can at least go through at least 10, 15, 20 years, makes good money, has a successful career and everything, mate, can't complain. AEW, again, I'm sure, he's made some money, for sure. I'm sure he's made some money. I'm sure he's learned from Arn Anderson, like you say, JR, Big Show, and all of them. But there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can do. And also, not in a bad way, you want to wrestle guys who's better than you. If you're wrestling guys that's constantly on your same level, you're not really learning. So, yeah.
That's why everyone's queuing up to wrestle Roger Sears. Roger Sears, what do you think about Brian Pillman Jr.?
I think it's going to depend awfully on how he's booked. Good with WWE, they've got all the back catalogue of his dad's stuff, so they can build a real legacy behind him before bringing him in. But he's
not going to be called Brian Pillman Jr.
No,
yeah, they're probably going to call him something like, I don't know. They're going to call him something horrible, I reckon. Something stupid like, I don't know.
Zippy
next shotgun or something.
Yeah.
Some terrible fucking name.
I guess it depends on how heavily they lean into it, to the heritage. If they go too heavy on it, all he'll become is just like another coming of his dad, like not as good is what I'm trying to say. It'll be viewed as, but he's not as good as his dad. So they've got to find that balance. So I think it's just a case of who's going to be handling the booking. So just don't fucking let Vince anywhere near it.
I got a great idea for you, pal.
Yeah, right.
I've watched this washing machine porn, right? I can just see it. I can just see it now. Over or under on WWE attempting to replicate the infamous promo where Brian Pillman and Stone Cold Steve Austin had a house invasion angle where Austin broke into his house with a loaded weapon. Or, well, should I say, he broke into the house and Brian Pillman had a loaded weapon.
I think do it again, but this time him break into Austin's house and actually beat him down or something and do something else. I don't know. Personally.
Is there anyone that you would sign off on Brian Pillman breaking into their house, kayfabe, and shooting them on TV?
What I do to Austin? Basically, like a revenge for his dad, isn't it?
That would be pretty sick if they
broke his dad's leg.
Yeah.
They were friends and everything. He broke his leg. He broke into his house. He made his mum cry and everything. Made her scream and everything. This is about 20 odd years later. I'm come back for you. And again, remember Austin's married. Basically I don't know. If I'm trying to remember what it was. Obviously, he had Brian Pillman's friends and everything all around his house. Maybe beat down Austin's friends all around his house. Break the window and everything. Austin's prepared. It's okay, I got my gun, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah.
Would be an amazing angle. Brian Pillman Jr. comes back and challenges Austin at WrestleMania or something. That'd be sick. I'd watch that. I'd watch that. Yeah, it still beats the shit out of seeing somebody dumped into a vat of mimosa. I can tell you that much.
Oh, yeah. But Austin winning?
He's kind of got to, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, if Kevin Owens ain't going over him, then fucking Brian. Sure as hell ain't. So, yeah. Speaking of Kevin Owens is apparently injured, which is really unfortunate, and has left the tag team title reign alongside Sami Uso. Well, I call him Sami Uso, Sami Zayn, of course. It's left it kind of up in the open. It was reported last night that reigning undisputed WWE Tag Team Champion Kevin Owens is currently dealing with a legitimate injury. Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, who we're going to talk about in a minute, further detailed it, saying that apparently he has a fractured rib. So the story, he's actually been working on it for a while, and it was just one of those things that they were waiting for a time to finish up with everything he'd finish up before he could get some rest. They don't know how long, and they don't know what the status of the tag team titles are. Do we just basically give it a bit of time and wait, or do we strip him of the tag titles and move on?
I'll give it to Rogers first.
It's not one of the most serious injuries, is it? So, considering how much they put into the story for them against the Usos and building it all up and them actually taking the titles, it would feel a real shame if they were that's the way their reign comes to an end, if they lose it that way. But I don't know. Without knowing the full severity of the injury, it's really difficult to kind of give a proper opinion on whether they should drop, be stripped of the titles or not. Personally, I'd like to see him wait it out a bit and see if he's going to recover soon enough so that they can keep hold of the titles. But that's just me personally.
Problem with rib injuries as well is that, of course, it's such a delicate area. Like, they can heal fairly quickly, but you have to be pretty much static. You can't really afford, and obviously every time you breathe is difficult. And it's not like Kevin Owens is a small guy either. He's a big lad, and his wrestling style as well is extremely physical, which again lends itself to the idea that it could potentially get worse. The last thing you want to do is just keep refracturing this, or God forbid, cause a serious break or something like that. Although a lot of people will tell you in sports that it's actually better to have a clean break than a fracture. That's what happened with my ankle. I fractured it in 4 places in my debut, and and even now it's still sore as shit. It's one of those things where they're like, you're probably going to feel it for the rest of your life in some way or another. You just kind of have to sort of, I don't know, go to your happy place, which is not AEW, by the way. But, just gotta dig that in there while I'm there. So what's really funny is all 3 people in here are going to AEW All In.
Yeah.
Did I mention that we are sat right behind Roger Sears? Yeah. Look more enthusiastic, Rog. Come on, you get to be.
No, I am sorry.
You're at Wembley Stadium. You're at Wembley Stadium, and supposedly now it's 80,000 people. 80,000 people apparently. You have Kenny Omega. Woo-hoo! You have supposedly Goldberg. Again, if Goldberg's there, I'm good. I admit, if Goldberg comes, I'm sold.
I will mark so hard for Goldberg. I do not give a fuck. I will lose my shit for Goldberg.
Yeah.
And I guarantee he'll get a bigger pop than Omega.
You know what? I want to say but I want to say yes.
How many people there are going to be casuals that are going for a random event?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Who are more likely to recognize Goldberg.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, the hardcore fan base, I think what people don't realize is, because everyone's like, see, AEW is a huge draw. No, it isn't. Live wrestling in a huge stadium is the draw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's why they've sold as many tickets as they've had. Because honestly, if all 80,000 people in there watch the product, you'd have about 8,000 people in there.
True.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So, just hope that Kevin Owens gets better, because he's one of legitimately the better wrestlers that WWE has. Great promo. Always involved in very important storylines. Like hard not to like Kevin Owens, really. Although Gabe looks a little bit undeterred by it. Not a big fan.
You know what it is? I think, again, I try to take my feelings. Again, I don't know the guy, obviously now. But I like his work. I mean, I like his work and everything. But you know what it is? I think, and I say this without sounding silly, I did grow up on the streets. I mean, I did grow up in the care system. I mean, I grew up with legit tough guys. And again, I understand his character and everything like that, but I just look at him and I'm like, you're not bad.
I don't think he's meant to be, though, is he? He's
no,
meant
but
to be the family man fighting for his family's legacy.
Is he?
Well, he's always mentioning his family on promo.
Okay, fair enough.
He's always
fair
talking
enough.
about his son. You know, he mentioned regularly, didn't he? Remember when he first debuted against Cena on the main roster, and he said, "My son thinks you are the greatest wrestler on earth," and that disgusts me because I'm better than you. And I personally thought that was a great simple angle. There was not much to it other than my son thinks you're the best, and I'm going to show him that I'm better than you by basically murdering you. I just thought that was good shit. It was easy, and also everyone lost their mind when he beat John Cena at Money in the Bank in that one.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, it's John Cena, so he had to get all of the wins back in.
Oh yes.
And then it was like, Kevin Owens, see you in about a year when you're relevant again. Sorry, buddy.
It's a weird one. The thing is, I do like him. I do think he's good. But I think, and again, you may say silly, I did watch a little bit of his stuff before we came to the WWE. So I did watch a bit of his Ring of Honor stuff. And the thing is, I was listening to Jim Cornette a lot of the time. So that, I admit that kind of did
But even me, like I love
Jim
Cornette. And even I think Jim Cornette was wrong about Kevin
Owens.
No.
Now I can say definitely.
But even he's saying on his podcast now, isn't he, that Kevin Owens lost weight, he's in better shape, and he takes the business more seriously, and it pays dividends. Same with Sami Zayn when he was El Generico. Yeah, it was fun for the indies, but it had no legs on a mainstream platform, and he's had to reinvent himself very much like Kevin Owens has in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So, I agree. Like I said,
Plus, it's not like they're in the main event, is it? They're in the tag team division, so it's not like they're, you know. I mean, to be fair, if you watch Roman Reigns run as Universal Champion, I would argue that he had his best matches with Kevin Owens alongside Jay.
True, that's true. I'll give you that. That's true.
You know, Kevin Owens was willing to help elevate him further, and that's something I like about Kevin Owens is he's always willing to get in there and help elevate other talents as well. And that's something that a lot of these people don't seem to be willing to do. Or when they look, like, for instance, Seth Rollins has this big reputation for getting other guys. Gabe doesn't like Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins, like, you know, he has this big reputation for being a great indie style worker, but he can, you know, now he works the WWE style better than anybody else. He's a good TV worker, and he's always willing to get people over. But I think it's a little bit disingenuous because from my perspective, whenever I watch Seth Rollins matches, they're not terrible by any means. I think they're fine. But I feel like he doesn't do nearly as much as he could to make it good. I really believe that. And, you know, I'm sure if Seth Rollins was here, he'd probably call me a fat mark, and that's fine. But, you know, at the same time, like when I watch his matches, like for instance, is he getting Finn Balor over in this world title going on at the moment?
No.
Nobody believes that Finn Balor is remotely credible as a, you know, a challenger to his belt. They just don't.
No. And you know what I actually thought? Because I think I saw Raw, and I thought, I can actually see Damian Priest catching it against Seth. I can see it. I just thought, I can see it happening. It's like, okay. But then it's like, well, I know for you, like I said, for you, you'd want him to cash against what, Roman? Would you prefer Roman?
The worry is that if Jay doesn't win, who the fuck takes the belt off of him?
Well, Cody, innit? Next year, WrestleMania, supposedly.
I mean, I'm okay with that. But it's that thing of, right, okay, so if that's just hearsay and we don't know, the only other guy right now who looks credible enough because of the Money in the Bank briefcase is Damian Priest. He's big enough that he can give Roman Reigns a shellacking, and also he'll have the surprise factor of cashing in on him when he's, you know, obviously destroyed. Like, you would assume the best time to cash in would be if the entire family, the, you know, Anoa'i family, beats the shit out of Roman and basically says you've disgraced the family name, and then Damian Priest cashes in. I can imagine that place will erupt if he fucking cashes in on Roman Reigns and wins.
What about LA Knight? I know a lot of people are literally
LA Knight's actually on my news list. So apparently one of the big things with LA Knight, we may as well transition into it. So essentially, apparently all of the people backstage, the road agents, the big sort of higher ups are very hot on LA Knight. And the only thing stopping them from pulling the trigger is apparently he has a reputation for upsetting people backstage with his ego.
Grow up, people. Grow up. It's business. It's business. I'm sure, again, we're going to go back. Again, Rogers, I'm sure you can agree with me. I'm sure Hogan wasn't the best with everybody. I'm sure Warrior wasn't.
That is
Shawn
the biggest understatement of the year if I've ever heard of it.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels back in the day. Come on, man.
Oh my God, yeah.
Triple H when he first got with Stephanie and everything, when he was backstabbing everybody, what difference does it make? The guy's a good worker. If he can make money for you guys, apparently, supposedly, he's supposed to be like the number one shirt seller now in WWE. So if that's the case and everything, go with him. If he's 40,
so
41.
red hot over. If you watched any of the product, but I watched SmackDown last week, and the pop he got was insane. He was in a fatal 4-way United States qualifying match, and literally it was like The Rock had come out. Like the place went fucking bananas for him, and then he lost.
Yeah,
win that match. Didn't even get into a qualifier to face Santos Escobar for a chance to become United States Championship #1 contender. Which is, so it's going to be Santos Escobar versus Rey Mysterio. Winner of that faces Austin Theory at SummerSlam, which is fine. You'd probably think Rey Mysterio. I saw the thumbs down coming up.
Yeah.
That was joke. I was ready. You don't think Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory is a good enough matchup for the United States title?
It's not that. You know what it is? I think Ray's ready. Again, I love Ray, but I think Ray's established, but at the same time, I don't think Ray versus Austin Theory will be good. For some reason, I feel the match won't be as great as what we think it is.
I don't think the styles will match that well.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think
I'll tell you what. I'll put the question to Roger Sears. Roger Sears, you're in charge of WWE booking for SummerSlam. You have a choice of 3 men to face Austin Theory for the United States title: Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, or LA Knight. Don't laugh at Santos Escobar. He's a good wrestler. You know what? It's not his fault. He's been saddled with this fucking awful LWO angle. He was great as part of Legado del Fantasma. If they with that and really smashed him over as hardcore, like, you know, Mexican cartel hitmen, I reckon he would have got over, because he's got all the tools and all the temperament that Del Rio didn't have, which should have made him a big star. And he could easily have taken the Del Rio gimmick. And ultimately, they do need, because Rey Mysterio is not going to be around that much longer. You need a Latin star to carry. They've just gone to Mexico, by the way. That's another one of my news articles here, so we can splice that in with it. They've just made record sales and record attendances in Mexico on a weekend tour, just doing 2 house shows, which were apparently smashed over 25,000 people watched it over the weekend. Like, it was huge, big business, made more money than they've ever made in history of Mexico, which means that the Latin market is itching for stars. And obviously, you know, Rey Mysterio was a huge part of this. He wrestled Seth Rollins, apparently, amazing match. People were going bananas. Seth Rollins paid tribute to him afterwards, saying you don't realize what Rey Mysterio means to Latin culture and Mexican wrestling traditions and things of that nature. Santos Escobar has all the tools. But we go back to the original question. Roger Sears, who are you putting against Austin Theory at SummerSlam?
Yeah, realistically, it has to be LA Knight, doesn't it? I mean, we've said already, you know, #1 shirt sales, and he's red hot right now. Why aren't you know, getting behind him? You know, okay, so he's got.
You know why? Because he's 40. He's 40 apparently, so that's an issue. Being 40.
Roger Sears, how old are you right now?
Yeah, but how old's Rey Mysterio?
He done that one, didn't he?
You know,
He done that one immediately.
Well, apparently, again, it's a big deal.
Right, I did.
No, legitimately, Roger Sears, right? Like, with all due respect, Roger Sears is an older wrestler, and he's BCD champion. And by the way, he is by far and away the most over entity and the hardest worker in the entire locker room.
No, thank you.
To me, age is irrelevant. I've always said age is irrelevant.
And by the way, if anyone's got a problem with what I just said, fucking message me like a man. Don't go crying on the internet.
Yep, message him.
And I will explain to you exactly why. Because I'll tell you what, when you can cut a promo like he does and put it on that page, then you can have your say. And I'm not slagging anyone off, by the way. I really enjoy working in that company. Obviously, I wouldn't be working there. But the bottom line is, you know, the point of my argument is that, you know, Roger Sears is not, you know, he's not the springiest of chickens right now, although he's in far better shape and a far better wrestler than I'll ever be. But it's also that thing of age. I'm not being rude. We need to get over this idea that as soon as you hit 40, you're fucked. Ric Flair was in his prime in his 40s. Bret Hart was in his prime in his late 30s to early 40s. You know, fucking Shawn Michaels came back and fucking rediscovered himself. And, you know, like AJ Styles, for instance, mid 40s, having one of the best runs of his life. Finn Balor's in his 40s now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's fucking in insane condition.
Yes.
Damien Priest. Isn't Damien Priest in his 40s?
Batista won all his major titles when he was hitting his 40s. You know, like, I'm sorry, but like Triple H, like the list goes on of people. Yeah, of course, you have people like Randy Orton, Austin Theory, who are kind of doing the other thing, the other way around, and you know, they're doing great, absolutely. But there's room for anyone of any age. Like, and also, it's not like LA Knight is fucking walking around with a Zimmer frame or anything.
No.
He's in wicked condition, best promo in the company right now. Like,
but you know what it is? It's that thing like even though Kevin Nash took it back, he's a Rock and Stone Cold ripoff, and I'm seeing that more and more now. I'm seeing a lot more people saying, "Well, he kind of does walk like the Rock. He kind of does talk like Austin." And
but it's also that thing.
It's like,
who are the two? Like, who's the biggest drawing champion in wrestling history? Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And people are like, "You're ripping off Stone Cold Steve Austin." Well, it worked for Becky Lynch, didn't it? You smacked her over.
Oh, she's a woman. You can't say that. She's a woman.
Hey, careful now. Hey, if you've got
she's a woman, you can't say that now.
If you got a problem with the equal and opposite sex, that is for you to deal with, pal. Like,
oh, me, you know me. I don't care.
I love it. That's the other thing that I'm about to talk. Do you know what? Like, we're making transitions here because there was a tweet put out about women's wrestling. I don't know. Did anyone see this tweet that went out that went viral on the internet?
Is it what Ellie Knight said before, or is it a brand new one?
No, so it was a new one that came out, and so an individual, just a random mark, I think, he put out a tweet with the percentages and the time spent dedicated to women's wrestling on each wrestling product last week. And it totaled somewhere about 17% across the entire board. Like, for instance, like on Impact, I think they dedicated 5 minutes to women's wrestling. Now, to be fair, this is 1 week sample. There have been other weeks where Impact have had 25, 30 minutes of women's wrestling. So I don't think it's entirely fair to label it that. But of course, this has caused a massive stir, particularly with women's wrestling. And I understand why, saying that they don't get a fair crack at the whip. They don't get enough TV time. They don't get a chance to wrestle enough on the shows. Do we think that legitimately women's wrestling is still massively underappreciated and not given enough time on a mainstream platform?
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that. But to the other extent,
Roger Sears has just got back into the house with his wife, by the way. Like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
open the door.
Yeah,
do you know what? Fair enough. In you go.
I see that machete. I see that machete over there.
I do think there's the argument to have in the other respect of saying, though, the size of the talent pool for men's compared to the size of the talent pool for women's. You know, it's completely different size, right? There's so many more male wrestlers than there are female.
But the first argument you're going to get, probably from women, and I don't speak for women, God forbid, because if I say that, people will lose their shit.
Yeah.
But the first thing they'll say is, why don't they bring in more women then?
Yeah, I know. I guess that's on them. You know, I don't really know the reason behind it. They're obviously looking at what's going to draw them the most money. Their company, they're going to do whatever the hell they want with it, aren't they? And if they think they're getting more money by using men more, that's what they're going to do. I think definitely there's room for more women's wrestling around. There are some real quality wrestlers out there that are female, really are. So yeah, I'd probably agree they're not getting enough airtime that they should be, but you know, I'm not in a position booking it, obviously. You know, we're not running these companies, so I guess it's down to their mentality and how they're looking at it and what they think is going to draw them the most money. I'm not trying to shit on women's wrestling. I'm just saying that from a promoter perspective, if they think I'm going to get more money from this than I am from this, then that's what they're going with.
It is a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Gabe?
I'll be real. They look at women.
Roger Sears wasn't real.
No, I think it's real, but I think it's like in the middle. Me, I keep it straight.
Okay.
People, what it is, I think they do respect women's wrestling more than they did, especially in the 90s, for sure. 90s and the early 2000s, that's for sure. There is still a thing where they do look at women's wrestlers as eye candy. No matter what. No matter what. And we can say that, okay, you know, why don't they have more women? That's true. They should have more women. And I think they do have more women than they did before. They have women now who can work better. That's for sure. But And I'm going to give you an example. Remind me, what WrestleMania had the triple threat match for the women's title? Ronda Rousey, Charlotte, and
35,
36.
I think, yeah.
I remember watching that. I was like, okay, yeah. But you know what I saw? I saw Dave Meltzer, and I'm not a fan of Dave Meltzer. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say I like him. I saw a lot of these guys crapping it, saying it looked choreographed. It was okay. Where it crowned Becky, but it wasn't that great. It's like, mate, they gave you guys what you wanted. You were screaming for Becky. You asked for it. They gave it to you. You still didn't like it. You mean you still didn't like it? So it's like,
I got to be honest. I didn't like that match. I thought it was. I thought considering how good I personally think Charlotte Flair is fantastic. I think she can wrestle most of the men and have a great match. I think Ronda Rousey had star power, whether you like her as a wrestler or not. Bottom line, at that time, baddest woman on the planet, big draw, former UFC champion. And then you had Becky Lynch, who for me is arguably the most overrated women's wrestler of the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
But it's that thing, and that's just my opinion. And I know a lot of people don't like that. But you know what? I don't like hearing promos with a leprechaun, so that's just me. But at the same, sorry, but I think her promos stink. They do. Like, I like her; she's beautiful and she's got big star power and she's a very strong personality. But I personally think, from an entertainment standpoint, she's bloody dull as dishwater.
She's boring. I said she's boring.
Her trash talk's crap as well. Like, admittedly, you're on a PG platform. It's not like she can come out and call someone a slut or whatever. Because I'd lose my mind if she came out and said that. I'd be like, I'd be all aboard that shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's good shit. But it's that thing of, I personally. So this is the other thing: is there revisionist history, because they had WWE Evolution or Women's Pay-Per-View, which, by the way, was fantastic. We covered that on the podcast and spoke ad nauseum about how much fun it was and how much we enjoyed it, and we wanted more of that. They've had the Mae Young Classic, which admittedly they haven't done for a while, and maybe that's why people are getting up in arms again, because they haven't really been consistent with doing those things, because they've got all this airtime. Why can't you have another Mae Young Classic? Why can't you have another WWE Evolution?
Okay, see, my thing is this. Like I said, I come from a background where I come from journalism, come from sports, but journalism as well. And I understand the numbers. I do get what the numbers are important. But for WWE, for example, did the Mae Young Classic draw? When did they draw? Did it draw those, again, other numbers? I don't know. Did it draw those big amount of numbers?
It was certainly popular on the network, to be fair. It did draw good numbers on the network. And one of the reasons is because it wasn't put on mainstream TV. It was put on the network, and it was filmed in the Performance Center, because ultimately they knew that it would be far easier to sell out the Performance Center and have these great matches. And to be fair, we saw some really amazing stuff. We saw Killer Kelly versus forgotten her name. I feel terrible for it as well, because she's fucking brilliant. Who's the Roger Sears? Help me out. The final boss, the Japanese woman who's very famous. Roger Sears' face says that all. I should know her name. I can hear Tanvir screaming from miles away, going, "It's so and so's name." Like, she was in NXT UK. She was the UK Women's Champion. But the point is that tournament helped spawn a lot of the stars actually that we enjoy now. A number of them were on there. We got to see Tegan Nox on there. And do I think Tegan Nox is a draw? No, but obviously loved her. Big fan of her when she was in the UK scene. Had a real pleasure as a fan watching her many times. Amazing talent. And so many of these women used for instance, Io Sky, and she got her catapult to stardom, so to speak, and being on a major thing, not pun intended, I guess. She got that from being in the Mae Young Classic and winning that.
Fair enough. But I was going to ask a quick question. Like you said, you give that a list of names of women, and again, I like these women, cool wrestlers. But again, my problem is, we're talking about worldwide here. It's not just UK. Again, like for us, we love the UK guys because we're UK. To many of the guys, for example, we have Drew McIntyre. We love Finn when it was Fergal. That's me. That's you. That's Rogers. But the thing is, when he's in America, or when he goes to sort places, they don't, nothing against him, but they don't love him the way we do.
Well, yeah, same with Butch, for instance. Yeah. Like, one of my favourite all-time wrestlers from the British Indies scene has been done. But is Butch a massive draw, say, in India or Australia? Probably not.
And maybe the WWE, they're looking and say, okay, you know what? Yes, we understand that. Okay, yeah, there's a fraction of people who like women's wrestling, but in the grand scheme of things, not yet. But at the same time, what I will say, and I've said this to Anton many, many times, if all these people love women's wrestling, Why don't you watch the show? Why don't you basically write to WWE? Why don't you complain to WWE? Say, listen, we want to see women's wrestling. We want to see women's wrestling. And I guarantee they'll do something about it. Rather than just do it online, it sounds bad, go to WWE. Go to the shows. Call out, Ian Schreier or whoever. Make a statement.
Hold your signs up, support wrestlers more. Maybe spend more time supporting women's wrestling than complaining about how it's not supported on the internet.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a bad point, really. Roger's smile there as if to say, I'm not doing that. Dear,
I think there's also an argument to be had about that they're not booked sensibly sometimes. I mean, how many times did we see the titles change hands between Sasha and Charlotte?
Yeah, look at the women's tag team division, by the way. Again, they've now put the belts on Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. Like, those belts are literally hot potato. Those belts are the biggest joke in the company.
Who are they with?
Tell me they were currently with Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green.
No. Who's their partners in real life? To me, that always dictates where the belt goes.
His words. Like, I'll let him defend that one. Because
who's with Braun? Isn't one of them with Braun Strowman?
No, that's Raquel Rodriguez.
Okay, fair enough. So I was wrong there.
So Sonya Deville has a beautiful partner. As obviously well publicized that she's gay, which is great.
Oh yeah.
And to be fair, Chelsea Green goes out with Matt Cardona, who's on the Indies. So,
fair enough.
By the way, just as a very quick aside, I don't know if anyone saw it. Matt Cardona had the absolute balls and audacity to come out on an indie show wearing Chelsea Green's WWE Women's Tag Team Championship.
Ah,
loved it.
Yep, good for him. I like that.
Are we expecting backlash over that?
Nah.
Oh yeah.
Really?
I think so.
I can't imagine Vince is going to be extremely happy about that.
No, exactly.
So yeah, all right. Well, it's one of those things. Like, I really like women's wrestling. I think it's the best it's ever been. I do, and I think there's more stars than there ever has been as well. Like, I'm sorry, but like for instance, I don't like Becky Lynch, but she's definitely over. She's definitely over. For me, Bianca Belair is incredible, an absolute freak of nature. I think Charlotte Flair is amazing. I think Rhea Ripley's better than a lot of the men on Raw. I do. I like Rhea Ripley. I think she's a massive draw. What I like about Rhea Ripley as well is the fact that she has all these interactions with the men all the time, but she also doesn't have a problem being at ringside and being a shit-eating heel and helping get her man over as well. She does everything really well. Io Sky is a tremendous worker. Asuka's fantastic. Bailey is a fantastic worker. Dakota Kai is a great worker. So for me, it's like, actually, from a standpoint of talent, they have the most talented women's wrestlers they've ever had. One of the biggest problems is that we all look, when we get emotional about these things, that's exactly the point. We get emotional about them, and emotion doesn't mix well with business.
No.
The bottom line is that you can't make decisions in this business based on emotion. If you do, you're going to fail. Yeah. Probably something that a lot of indie promoters over here could probably learn a thing or two about. But it's that thing of, you know what? It's a business. We're trying to make money. And like Roger says, okay, me personally, I love Io Sky, right? I'm always going on about how great she is. So, and she, by the way, predicted she would win Money in the Bank, and she did. You're welcome. But it's that thing of 7-0. Suck my balls. 7-0. Mr. Clean Sweep. But the bottom line is, if LA Knight draws 10 times as much money, then yeah, he should absolutely have more TV time.
Yeah. I agree.
Because it's a business. And if people say, yeah, but equal rights, all right, if you want equal rights, then make as big a star out of yourself as these other people. Make as big a star out of
Becky Lynch. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Becky Lynch, but when Becky Lynch got punched in, was it her nose, teeth, whatever it was and everything, everyone was going mad, calling her Stone Cold Becky Lynch and everything. I didn't like it.
What did you just say? You said, if you want these women to be more over, right? Yeah. Make a fucking scene. And that's what they did for Becky Lynch, but they're not doing it for the others.
True.
They made a huge scene and went online and said Becky Lynch deserves better. We're sick and tired of her constantly being underneath Charlotte Flair, and she doesn't get enough. And now they smashed her over like crazy. And now she's a big star because of it. And they will do the same with the others if you have that kind of fervent nature and that fervent attitude for it. But the problem is, again, it's this thing. Yeah, thousands of people might have interacted with this tweet. but thousands of people is literally a grain in the sand to who you are selling your product to, which is millions of people. This is again the problem with social media. It's a fucking echo chamber. Yeah, great. All the people you follow love women's wrestling, so they're all in turn. All you see on your feed is people getting hot about it. But in the grand scheme of things, that's a drop in the ocean. Nobody on the grand scheme of social media gives a shit or sees that.
Nope.
They don't. They just don't. Those are the stone cold facts of it. There are literally millions, if not probably near to 1 billion people on Twitter, and literally 0.01% would have even clocked the idea that women's wrestling isn't treated as well as it should be. So, yeah, you can yell into that echo chamber all you want. And don't get me wrong, we all do it. I do it. I go on social media and air my grievances or whatever, or say what I say and have opinions on the Wrestle Plug account. Nobody cares in the grand scheme. If 5 people tweet me back and say you're a prick or yeah, I agree, great. Like, we're looking to interact with people and we love hearing people's opinions. And by all means, sound off in the comments if you've got an opinion on it. But it's also that thing of that doesn't mean anybody is going to see it or anyone needs to see it. No one's obligated to care about your opinions because at the end of the day, they're looking to make money.
True.
Roger's face there is like, yeah, pretty much.
I can't argue with what you've said. You know?
It's the professional wrestling business, not the professional wrestling family table. And that's why AEW is not a good product, by the way.
You know what? You see, when you say it about it's a business, that's why when people say they hate Goldberg and they hate Warrior, I say, listen, that's why, like he said, it sounds bad. That's why they made it. And I know you might say I'm taking a shot there, but that's why people like Austin Aries and people like Alex Shelley didn't make it. I mean, so again, I like Austin Aries, but still, I think he took himself a bit too seriously. But yeah,
right. Dave Meltzer time. So get ready, baby. So it was reported the other day that AEW is now just 2 matches away from equaling the most amount of 5-star matches in its 3-year tenure that WWE and WCW had in their entire history. Put your headset back on and suffer through like the rest of us. So AEW is now 2 matches away from having as many 5-star matches as WWE and WCW in their entire history, according to Dave Meltzer's rating system, which, by the way, Seth Rollins called silly the other day in a... Exactly. See, now you love Seth Rollins, right?
Yeah, no. Wait, first of all, how long has AEW been around for?
3 years. 3.5 years. I think it's 4 years this October.
Wow. Okay.
In fact, I know it is because, believe it or not, Dickhead here was at the first ever Dynamite in Washington, and that was in October of 2019. Fair
enough. That's madness.
Which, by the way, it was a fun time, but I enjoyed the baseball a lot more. I went out there with the express idea of, you know what, I've got some money, I'm going to spend it on a great memory. Had an amazing time. By the way, highly recommend anyone goes to Washington. Amazing place. Incredible black culture with bars and stuff. You got all these amazing jazz clubs and things like that. It would really open people's eyes, by the way, to, race relations and how black culture is actually incredibly accepting of us and wants us to learn with them, which is really cool. I learned so much about black culture while I was in Washington. There's a reason it's nicknamed Chocolate City.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very cool. I highly recommend everyone go to watch it. Beautiful place, very friendly, very accommodating. But yeah, it's that thing of, again, here we are. I always say this with Meltzer, it's one man's opinion. That's all it is. Even Meltzer himself, who is an insufferable cretin at the best of times, even he says it's just my opinion, subjective. Like, if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it. And also, Dave Meltzer, while defending himself when attacked for having a silly rating system, said that actually it's not my rating system in the first place. Jim Cornette's the one who originally came up there.
Yeah, okay, we know that. We know that. We you know what I'm going to say about this guy?
The one who added 7 stars to it, is he, Dave?
No. I'll be honest. Who's
7 stars?
Who's the one that actually gave Dave Meltzer credibility? Who actually said, you know what, Dave? Because I've heard Brett talk about it. I've heard even Al Snow do shoots about, he's just, again, even though I'm a legit degree qualified journalist, he's a journalist. He's a fake journalist. He doesn't even have a degree of it. He's a journalist that writes about wrestling.
Oh, I'd love to stick you and Dave Meltzer in a room.
Oh, me, I'll say to him, I will bring my degree.
I reckon you flay him alive.
I'll bring my degree. So listen, these are my degree. This is the public. This is the public business.
Work for national newspapers, right?
Yeah. And also I wrestle. What do you do? Again, to me,
he is the world's preeminent Scott Steiner lookalike.
To be fair, he is in good-ish shape for his age. Good-ish.
Yeah, like he looks like Scott Steiner circa 1985. Like it's very strange.
I don't know, Roger. You can clarify. Who actually gave this guy credibility? That whatever this guy says, it's like, yeah, that's it.
I have a really good question for Roger as a wrestler who's currently wrestling quite a lot of matches, to be fair, and good ones as well. If Dave Meltzer watched one of your matches and gave it a star rating, would that be a badge of honor for you, or would you not give a shit? Legit.
Legitimately, it's one person's opinion, right? And like you've said, he said that himself. It's
depends whether he gives you 5 stars or not.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. I mean, come on, he's got
Let's not act like all of us. You know what? For all our pomp and circumstance, I can tell you this outright: if I had a wrestling match and Dave Meltzer rated it like 3.5 or 4 stars, from a personal standpoint, it would be quite cool to be able to say that I've been rated by Dave Meltzer. Nobody's saying that it's not cool to be rated by him.
No.
I'm saying is that his ratings should not be the be-all and end-all as to what makes a match good or not. And that's the big problem in this industry, is that everybody goes straight to Dave Meltzer because he's the first guy to do it. And that's where he deserves credit. He was the first one to stick his neck out and say, right, I'm going to start rating matches properly after Jim Cornette and put it on a big public spectrum. So he's the first one to capitalize on it and make a business out of it, even if it is faux journalism. So, and he deserves a lot of credit for that because he's made a lot of money doing what he's done. But it is that thing of, I feel like his rating system has damaged the credibility of our sport not because it's necessarily his fault, because ultimately it's up to us whether we listen to him or not.
True.
And as workers, they're all going out there trying to fucking get a 5-star off of Dave Meltzer instead of trying to entertain the audience. And that's where it falls down. And that's something like Roger Sears might get a rating for Dave Meltzer, but I can guarantee you Roger Sears is going out there to put on the very best possible match for the audience he's working in front of. And that's the big difference. A lot of these guys aren't. I don't think Kenny Omega and multitude, insert anyone else who's had a 5-star, Okada. Well, I mean, Okada's pretty decent, to be fair, but it's that thing of, I think the majority of these guys care more about getting a rating from Meltzer than they do getting ratings from their own fans.
Yeah. And for me personally, I know people might say, oh, I'm just saying this. I would rather get a pat on the back from Austin, Undertaker, even though I'm not really a big fan of him, but I appreciate him, Triple H, Rock, and say, you know what, good job. You've done this.
If I'm AEW and Arn Anderson comes over to me,
and
says, "Yo, get a match, kids," I'm taking that to my grave.
That means more to me than any.
Whereas,
any
like,
star.
if Dave Meltzer says to me, "Yo, 5 stars," I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It gives me good publicity. But Arn Anderson just told me that I had a great match. Like that means so much more to me. But
I agree.
I
agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Me personally, I think, like you said, I think with Dave Meltzer, it's the boys have basically let him dictate what's right, what's wrong. And like what you said, and I've said it so many times, and I think I don't want to sound like a broken record. I think the business is basically flip-flops now. That is business now. That's what it is now. There is no more real psychology. There's very few guys that actually have psychology. I'm not saying it has to be slow. I'm not saying it has to be, 1980s or even 70s, like slow. But let it make sense. Wrestling now, again, I love wrestling, but it doesn't make sense. I watch it, it just does not make sense. Again, we talked about it last time, Aeron, about the Dante Martin spot.
Yeah.
What?
Have you seen that, Roger, where he breaks his leg?
No.
So he took a Canadian destroyer off the top of a ladder to the outside for a table and broke his leg.
Stupidness.
Coming up next month at BCD, Sympathy for the Devil, Roger Sears hits a Phoenix splash to the outside through barbed wire.
Don't do it. Please don't do it. Don't kill yourself, please.
God, no. God, no.
And the thing is, I'm sure the idea of it is like, it's great. He broke his leg in a bad way. His leg literally was bent. No one cares. He's gone. That's it. No one cares.
Yeah.
Right, some quick fire news before we wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Logan Paul accepts Ricochet's challenge for a match at WWE SummerSlam. So it'd be Logan Paul versus Ricochet. Yay or no?
Nah.
Such a miserable man.
No, it's Ricochet. Ricochet.
I'll tell you what. I don't care what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
I think Logan Paul is one of the best heels in professional wrestling.
Him, yeah. Ricochet, I don't care about, but Logan Paul, yeah.
And you know what? I'll drink Prime. I'm okay with it.
Is it good?
You know what? For £2 a bottle, yes. For anything more, absolutely fucking not.
Fair enough.
And by the way, Morrison's right have run out now, and I wish I just bought a shitload and sold them down the local shop for $10 each. But the bottom line is, it's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely good. The energy drink for me is the drizzling shit. I think it's crap. But the hydration bottles, the coconut water that's flavored, is actually quite nice. Some of them, but not for anything more than like £1.50, £2. Like anyone spending more than that, you're a fucking mark. But Morrison's were selling them for £2 a pop. I bought a couple and I thought, do you know what? Quite nice.
Fair enough.
Better than Lucas, though.
Red Bull. Oh gosh.
What kind of Red Bull? Like, you know, say what you like, but I'll tell you what, Red Bull now, that is a brand, isn't it? All right. They are making bank.
Well, supposedly, there was this internet personality called Kevin Samuels. He does like relationships and everything. Apparently, Red Bull supposedly killed him because he used to drink 5 or 6 of them every day.
Yeah, but that's like saying, I died from eating McDonald's and I had like 7 a day. Like, of course you did, you fucking idiot. Like, no, it's at some point, even coming from me, this big fat cunt who loves his fast food and drinks a lot and he does not look after his body in the slightest. I'm happy to admit that. At least I take ownership of it, like a lot of other people don't. Even I'm like, yeah, well, what do you expect? If you drink 5 or 6 cans of energy drink a day. By the way, Red Bull, fun fact for anyone who cares, which they don't. Red Bull initially was actually a face wash.
Oh, okay.
So you would splash it in your face, and the idea was it was supposed to reinvigorate you. It was never actually meant to be drunk, and then someone accidentally drunk it one day and thought, not bad.
Do you splash on your face and that? Do you use it to hydrate or no?
Oh man, I'll take a bath in it. Seriously, my balls right now are bathing in Red Bull watermelon. Hey, don't knock it till you tried it. Hey, I've managed to bag a date for tomorrow night. I mean, there's no coincidence, I'm sure. So, maybe it's the Red Bull shine, mate. It's the Red Bull shine. Where all you kids are going wrong. Get on Tinder. Tell them all about your Red Bull fantasies. You'll be well away. Don't know where this has gone. John Cena's Peacemaker, which will also be voiced by him, will be a playable character in the next Mortal Kombat game. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Pretty big deal. Mortal Kombat, huge franchise.
Yeah. I haven't played for years, but yeah.
The new one, to be fair, looks spectacular. Looks really good. Also, one of the main characters from The Boys, the TV series, he'll be playing Johnny Cage. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
But the fact that, that speaks volumes about John Cena's pull. As for people who, I'd never liked John Cena as a wrestler, but you cannot deny his star power. He gets to be the Peacemaker, and he gets not only does he get to play the Peacemaker in the films and everything, and the TV series. Now he's going to be in Mortal Kombat. It's pretty cool.
Terminator 2 as well. Terminator, apparently, the last Terminator, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, people saying that women's wrestling never gets a fair crack. Ronda Rousey played Sonya in the last Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, admittedly, she has a lot of star power. And again, it comes down to star power, doesn't it? If you're a star, you'll get your crack.
Wasn't Sasha Banks in some Star Trek? Again, I don't want Star Trek.
Yeah, she was in Mandalorian.
Was it any good?
And apparently, very good actress.
Fair enough. Okay.
So, but there's that again, revisionist history. Like, are we just going to pretend those things don't count because they don't help? Because they don't help the argument, do they? That's the thing. It's all about narrative, and narrative is normally dictated by emotion.
True.
That is what it is. So yeah, John Cena, well done, mate. Like, not like you need any more money at this point. Disco Inferno says fans don't care about AEW Collision and slams the booking of CM Punk. Do you think he's right about that? He basically said that CM Punk is booked terribly, and the fans do not give a shit about AEW Collision.
You know what? I have to kind of agree. I don't, because the thing is, a lot of these fans, sounds bad, they're all elite guys. They love, Kenny can't do nothing wrong, Young Bucks can't do nothing wrong. Okay, they're probably thinking, maybe, they're wrong to kind of go against CM Punk. But at the same time, Collision actually seems decent. The first two that I saw seems all right.
All right, it's more edgy. It's more kind of, it feels like they're going for a more adult-orientated style of show, and that's why people are enjoying it.
Yeah, but the problem is, though, as always, it's the numbers. The numbers don't reflect it. For again, like I said to you, for all these supposed fans out
Oh,
there.
I know what's happening. I can smell this a mile away. He's working his way around to the fact that Vince Russo got better ratings. I know what he's doing. I know what he's doing. I can smell it a mile away. I can smell it a mile away.
Sorry, mate. I was
Not
going there.
stupid. I told you. You don't make money in this business by being an idiot. And for all you haters, by the way, you're always slagging me off online and shit like that, which is fine, by the way. Enjoy your mediocrity. The bottom line is that, you know what? Like, I have the intelligence to recognize this shit. And I know when Gabe's about to fucking shoehorn in Vince Russo for the 15th time.
Look, in Vince Russo's worst...
If I had money, I'd to fucking live with him.
I probably won't last a day then. I won't last a day in his house. Because the
Not
moment
with
he
that
tells me...
accent, no.
The moment he
your ear
tells
off
me...
about baseball.
The thing is, I like baseball, so I'm all right. I like baseball, so I'm good.
Liv Morgan has a legitimate injury again, apparently, which fucking sucks because, you know, it's just like, I don't give a shit whether you like a wrestler or not. None of them should be injured and none of them should lose the ability to make money. No, bottom line. And also, Liv Morgan is the hottest woman alive. So, what's that?
Remind me again who she is?
Oh.
I'm joking.
You know what? You better watch your whole mouth when you're on a Wrestle Plug, pal. I've just about had enough of your nonsense.
You know what it is? I admit, I always get her mixed up with Mandy Rose. I'm thinking of
Mandy Rose.
I keep getting her mixed up. Her and Mandy Rose.
Lord have, I mean, that's not a bad thing. They're both absolutely scintillating.
She's the one with the.
All right, Roger Sears. Time for you to open up the sexist chat. Who's the hottest woman in WWE?
Oh boy.
Who's the hottest woman in WWE? Just your opinion. It doesn't matter. Just I'm curious who you think is the hottest woman in WWE. The machete's not in the room. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
You can afford this to your wife immediately.
It's Liv, right?
Yeah, see? Man knows. Man understands. All right, Gabe, who do you like? If you obviously could spend one evening with one of these beautiful, and let's be honest, they're all fucking beautiful. Let's be real. Who's tickling the Gabe Myers fantasy train the most?
You know, it's. I admit it's crazy. I actually can't pick. I can't picture most of them. I've seen them, but it's one of those things where
no respect for women's wrestling.
No, it's not even that. It's not that. It's like I get people that say, "Oh, Gabe, what are you talking about?" They all look the same to me. Sounds bad, dude.
Oh, I see. So when the white man says this shit,
look, it's not. Look, that's with Bianca Belair. That's with Raquel and everything. Okay. I'm talking. You know what surprised me? I know people are gonna say, I actually like Asuka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, surprised me. Yeah.
I guarantee she'll spit all kinds of things in your face in bed. Like,
I'll powerbomb myself. What the hell are you doing? Get off me.
Sure you will. Sure you will. Oh God, he's watching. Maybe, yeah.
He'll literally punch me. What the hell, Gabe? Stop that.
All jokes aside, by the way, and I know people are gonna say you're objectifying women. Please, like the men, we can stare at them as well. Like, but also, like, you know, this literally all these women are absolutely incredible from an athletic standpoint. They all look stunning, of course they do. You know,
I admit the only one I say maybe one. There's two that I'm like, no. You probably know one is for sure.
Becky Lynch.
No, the Baszler, no. I just.
Oh, do you know what? Like, I actually really fancy Shayna Baszler. Like,
is it more for the pain it should give you, or just?
I think it's a little bit. I love powerful women. I do. I don't mind admitting that. Like for me, I think Charlotte Flair is so hot. Like I want her to put me in a figure four. I'm down. I don't care. By the way, we're about to talk about the men, so relax. For those people talking about equal rights.
And who's Corey Graves' wife again? What's her name again?
Carmella.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling that.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
Although I believe she's pregnant, so congratulations on that.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. Like,
well done, Corey Graves. You can still do it.
By the way, all those fucking disgusting. God damn it! I was about to say something really nice as well.
Go on, sorry.
All those disgusting trolls online who give Corey Graves and Carmella an unconscionable amount of abuse for their relationship, go fuck yourselves. Like, it's pathetic, is what it is. It's embarrassing. Like, you bunch of sweaty neckbeards, go and get a fucking job and move out of your mum's basement, you losers. Like, just fuck off. Like, it's amazing what stupid opinions people have. Right, it's time for the men. Roger Sears, who is the best looking man in WWE? That is some extreme homophobia there. I don't like that.
What?
Extreme homophobic. I'm not homophobic. Jesus
Not you, Gabe.
Who, me?
Oh.
What, you can't respect another man's looks?
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Oh,
I
you're all
don't see
I
it
don't
that
know. 'Cause
way.
I don't know. 'Cause I
I
don't look at them like that. I don't know. I don't know either.
That is weak.
Aaron,
I
you?
don't swing that way, so
Yeah.
Jay Uso, like actually no, even Jimmy Uso, I think probably slightly more.
Fair enough.
He is gorgeous. Like he's so good looking, like ludicrously handsome. Yeah, no, I'd drink his bath water definitely.
You know what? You know what I do hear? I do hear that a lot of women apparently fancy. What's his name? Damon Priest.
Yes,
I hear a lot of
yeah.
women do fancy him. So okay, well, fair
Well, I
enough.
mean, he's big, he's powerful, got a gorgeous tan, he's got a sexy voice. Like, yeah, no, he definitely get a railing as well.
You see my whole comment there. See, I gave one. The women
So,
say,
Damien,
right,
so Damien Priest is your pick, Gabe.
no, not my pick. I'm just saying this is what women say.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Bottom.
Well,
How
not
hard
my
is it
pick.
to say a man is attractive? What is wrong with you two?
You know what it is? It's not that it's hard to say. I just yeah.
Roger Sears, I know for a fact, has had man crushes a mile long, and yet he's ducking. Come on.
You know what it is? He's online. That's why he's online. He's like, nope, can't do it.
Yeah. He'll ring me up privately and be like, oh, yeah, Roman Reigns, he tickles my By the way, Roman Reigns is...
I've got a gimmick.
Hey?
I've got a gimmick to protect.
Oh,
I've got a gimmick to protect. So, you know...
The history where you could really make history by telling us who you think.
Yeah.
All right, I think we'll leave it there because apparently these two are a little bit uncomfortable expressing their sexuality.
Oh no, you know what it is, people? It's nothing to do with that. It's just that I'll be honest, I'm a straight man, and it's like I just don't look at male wrestlers that way.
Straight
But
men admit when someone's attractive.
Like I said,
for instance, I actually think Gabe's really attractive. Like he's a lovely human being. Like you know, like he's got. By the way, gives a great hug, huge, big old bear hug, proper hug. But wrestlers coming over and giving limp-wristed handshakes. Now, bring it in.
Yep,
bring it in. Roger's
Like
a little tentative with the hugs. Actually, Roger's a bit. He's a bit. I think he's worried I'm going to poke him with something.
Like I said, I think again,
it's the power, mate. It's the power. Yeah. I get off on power, innit? Like I see that BCD championship, and all of a sudden I get a lob on. Like. There's hey Jay, there's an advertisement for your company right there. Yeah. How about that?
You know what I'm gonna say? I know you said it before about getting sponsored by Pornhub. Mate, I do hope they sponsor you now. I do.
I'm so down for that. I want to be the first ever wrestling podcast sponsored by porn. I don't care. We'll run it back. We'll do washing machine angles. I'm down.
Are you directing it?
I mean, I suppose I've got to do the videography at least, haven't I?
What?
The watch-alongs will be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fucking will. To be honest, some people might argue that some of the stuff we watch is less offensive than washing machine.
or will you be participating? Will you be doing a POV?
Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah, strap a GoPro to strapped a GoPro to Anton Green, you know. Yeah, I'm down. Who wants to have sex with me and I'll strap a GoPro to myself? Come on, there must be something.
If we can get Shayna Baszler, you down for that?
You're fucking right, I am. Yeah, seriously, she can choke me out with a GoPro on, definitely. She can choke me out with a GoPro and the harness.
But we need to get at least an hour and a half worth of footage. We don't care what it is, just keep going.
Just keep going. Just my limp corpse on the floor and Shayna Baszler's just going at it.
Just keep going.
Literally. I don't care if I'm unconscious. Shayna Baszler can do what she likes. I don't care. Fuck, mate. Like, she's, yeah. Same with Jimmy Uso. Have at it, son. And Jay. To be honest, all the Samoans are gorgeous. Yeah. Definitely. Solo Scott. Something about him as well. He's quiet and he's powerful. Like that.
Okay, you know what? Back in the day, Tamina back in the day, I remember looking at once, I was like, okay. Tamina. At one point, I was like,
really?
I was like, Then I saw her next week, I was like, okay, I'm cool.
That is fucking cold, that is. That's so cold. Ain't nobody meaner than Tamina other than Gabe Myers.
But look, again, people I know keep saying that, you know, she's a muscle freak, she's no good. I'm like, eh. But again, you know what? I'll give another one. I've heard a lot of people say, what's her name again? Chick who knocked Becky Lynch, the one that got
Nia
sacked.
Jax.
Yeah, Nia Jax. I have people saying she's quite attractive. I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough.
I would.
Wasn't she with Braun Strowman? Again, supposedly, I hear she was with
Why
Braun Strowman.
are you putting everyone with Braun Strowman, by the way? What's
That's
going on?
that's what I keep hearing.
I know he like runs the train at ringside, but that might be a bit much.
That's what I heard. I heard he was with her.
Braun Strowman just smashing his way through the women's locker room. I love it.
He's with her. Was it the Raquel chick? The Raquel chick?
For last time I heard, he was with Raquel Rodriguez. Yeah, this
Who
is
was with
turned into
before?
like a gossip column. I love
I know.
it.
Sorry, you know, it's
Wrestle Plug presents Cosmopolitan.
it's the journalist in me. It's the journalist. It's the gossip journalist in me. Sorry.
Oh, he's going full paparazzi on us, isn't he?
Yep.
Yep, he's after some front page material. That's what he's after. Brilliant. Well, I think we'll leave it there. I think we've discussed it enough. Roger Sears, thank you very much for joining us for the State of Business Address, as we're calling it. A real pleasure. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, August the 26th, BCD presents Sympathy for the Devil at the Parkstone Trades and Labour Club. Doors open at 7. The show starts at a prompt 7:30 in the evening, and Roger Sears will be defending the BCD Championship in the main event against yet to be determined. Nobody knows, but could it be another victim on the list? By the way, Roger, just quickly, what happened on the weekend?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, Taryn Tyler Roberts, you fucking let down. Roger Sears and Taryn Tyler Roberts were beaten by the Brawling Berserkers, Jay Knox and Sean O'Reilly.
Tyler Roberts was beaten, I wasn't.
Yeah, I love it. See, this is why he's not the best in the game. Right. And I hear that Taryn Tyler Roberts' punishment will be severe, and he may not even be at the next show for letting down the champ. A disgrace. 6'7", 300 pounds, and you can't beat a little gimp, a little short house like Sean Riley. Do better, mate. Do better. But yeah, he'll be there. By the way, £6 in advance if you want to buy tickets. Like, I'm sorry, but if people think £6 is really good, and it's £10 on the door, so get your tickets in advance and get involved. Sympathy for the Devil at Parkstone Trades and Labour Club on August the 26th, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, thank you very much to Roger Sears, and thank you very much to Gabe Myers, who hopefully come September will be re-entering the wrestling arenas.
I will be. Don't worry, I will be there. At the moment, people, I'm training nearly 6 days a week, so believe me, I'm quite tired.
He's in wicked shape, by the way. Saw him on Saturday at Rumble. Big shout out to Rumble, by the way, for putting on a hell of a show down in Gate, especially considering he was shitting it down with rain, to pull in over 200 people and to make so much noise. And a massive, massive shout out to all the fans of Rumble for coming out and showing that level of commitment and sitting in the rain. And a big shout out to the promoter as well for destroying my phone. I really appreciate that.
Did he actually destroy your phone? Or
legitimately smash my phone? It was an accident, to be fair, and he has looked after me on the back end, and I very much appreciate it. And that's one of many reasons why everybody should love Rumble Wrestling Promotion.
Oh, yeah.
It's really one of the best promotions in the world. I believe that. It really is how wrestling should be done. So yeah, and by the way, if you want to check out Rumble Wrestling, it's rumblewrestling.com, and they have all their tickets for all their events for the rest of the year up there. So check them out if you're in the Kent or Surrey or even like Essex region, those kind of regions. Like, you can definitely get your hands on some fantastic professional wrestling for a pittance. As simple as that. But yeah, from myself, Aeron X, from Gabe Myers, and of course from the BCD champion Roger Sears. Thank you very much for watching the Wrestle Plug and listening to Let's Talk Business, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from both podcasts. It's Jimmy Uso on the end. I'm here, you sexy little bastard. Shayna, what are you doing?